The word church has more than one meaning. When many people use the word church, they think of a building where we as Christians go to worship. The word church, however, has another meaning. It is the body or group of people who together share the same faith, the Christian community. And it is this church, made up of people, that matters most. People are more important than buildings. The church community, Christians, all those who believe in God and follow Jesus in their daily lives, the Christian church. Saint Peter reminds us that we are the stones that form the temple of God, which is the church. This does not mean, however, that buildings are not important. They are special places where the whole community meets to worship, celebrate, and share the Eucharist. In this video presentation, we'll look at some features of church buildings. Understanding the different features in a church should improve our understanding of our worship and what happens in liturgy. Our beautiful churches, after all, were built as an expression of love to the God we believe in. They are an expression of doing the best for God. The early Christians did not have any churches. As mentioned in different places in the New Testament, the first Christians often met in houses to celebrate the Eucharist. When the Roman Emperor Constantine acknowledged the Christian Church as an organisation and gave Christians the freedom to worship without the risk of persecution, churches started to be built in Rome and other places around Europe. Over the years, churches were built in different styles and they became more elaborate, with more stone decorations, patterns and paintings. Certain styles became more popular as more churches were built. The Roman or Latin style, the Gothic style, the Byzantine style, and the Baroque styles, and then more recently the modern style. Traditionally, churches were built in the form of a cross, the cruciform style or shape, a building in the form of a cross as shown in the diagram. The middle part of churches like this is called a nave. The sides or arms are called the transepts. This form naturally reminds us of the sign of the cross on which Jesus died, the main Christian symbol and our redemption. It can also remind us of the Holy Trinity and the words we use when making the sign of the cross. The nave, the central part of the church, extends from the main door or entrance of the church building to the sanctuary. The word nave comes from the Latin navis, which also means ship. This therefore reminds us of the idea of a boat. The church is the boat on which we stay and are saved amid the troubles that surround us in our lives. The nave is normally the area with rows of chairs or benches of some sort where the community sit to follow the liturgy. Another key feature of many Baroque and other churches is the dome. Gothic churches would normally have a tower of some sort instead of a dome. There are, of course, churches without a dome, especially more modern ones. The dome rises over the space where the nave meets the transepts. It resembles a hollow half of a sphere and is often decorated with patterns and paintings. Some old churches or cathedrals would also have a crypt. The crypt is a vault beneath the floor of the church. In some cases, these spaces were used for burials, and some still contain tombs or relics of people buried there. The bell tower, also found in many traditional church buildings, would normally house a bell or set of bells and clocks on one side. Traditionally, the bells were rung to call the congregation to a mass or service, but are also used on special days and celebrations during the year. Modern churches are usually more open spaces with more use of concrete and more modern materials in their structure. These churches usually also have fewer or simpler designs and patterns when compared to Baroque or Gothic churches. In modern churches, the altar table would be placed in a way that the congregation may gather around it, as the family gathers around a table for a meal. The sanctuary is a very special place in a church. It is the focal point towards which everything is directed. There are a number of important things placed in this space that we should be aware of and understand their purpose and meaning. One of these is the minister's chair, the special chair where the priest sits as the presider of the community and the one leading the liturgy. In cathedrals, the special chair is called a cathedra and is the special chair reserved for the bishop. The lectern is another important thing on the sanctuary. This is the place from where the word of God is proclaimed, an important focal point towards which everyone in the congregation looks during the liturgy of the word. The other focal point on the sanctuary is the altar table. The altar is a place or structure on which a sacrifice is offered. As the liturgy of the Eucharist begins, offerings are brought to the altar and the Eucharistic prayer begins. During the consecration, the sacrifice that first took place for the first time on the cross is made present again. Until the Second Vatican Council, churches only had a high altar right at the back of the sanctuary area. Since then, altars started to be placed in the middle or towards the front of the sanctuary in the form of a table, something that should remind us that while in church, for Mass, we are like a family, gathered together around a table to share our meal, the Eucharist. Some traditional churches or cathedrals would also have side altars. In the past, this allowed for more than one priest to celebrate Mass at the same time. These altars are usually built in a small chapel or under an arch on the sides around the church and are usually dedicated to different saints. Many churches also have a Blessed Sacrament chapel, where the tabernacle is found, a place reserved for private prayer in front of the Blessed Sacrament. Churches also have other areas or places many people may not be familiar with. One of these is the sacristy. The sacristy, usually by the side of the main altar, is usually a room or a space where the priest gets ready for the celebration of the Mass, and where vestments and other items that we use in church are stored. Many churches will also have a repository or a little stall, usually at the back of the church, where parishioners can purchase cards, gifts, Bibles, or other books or similar items, like rosaries and so on. The cry chapel is usually a glass-covered area from where parents with very young children or babies can still follow the Mass without too many distractions to the congregation. Some churches sometimes have special areas like a shrine, a sacred space often dedicated to Our Lady or a special saint, sometimes related to that place or area where the shrine and church is situated. Shrines usually have paintings and relics of that special person. They are spaces for reflection, prayer, and devotion by people who visit and want to find out more about the saint to which that place is dedicated. One other interesting and important feature and decoration in many churches is stained glass windows. These come in so many forms, shapes, and sizes. Many are found in Gothic and other churches in many countries, but some can also be found in more modern church buildings. Stained glass windows sometimes depict a story from the Bible or the life of a saint, and are another way how people can reflect on special events shown in the intricate patterns of these colourful features of so many churches.